Hello and welcome to the Dead Men Raiding Guide to Heroic Spine. This guide is primarily for those DMR members not in the raid instance, or for members of other DMR raid groups. We met this encounter with 2 tanks, 3 healers and 5 DPS. It is extremely important to understand the blood corruption mechanic in this fight. When you dispel the debuff, it jumps from side to side of the spine. So at the start of the fight we stack tanks on the left and the rest of the raid on the right, until both tanks have picked up the Blood of Neltharion buff, which reduces the damage they take by 20% per stack for the rest of the encounter. Once the tanks are buffed, we move to our normal positions, the raid by the plate with the blood tank, and melee and the amalgamation tank in mid, but within the area of a single healing range. We kill all 3 corruptions at the start of the fight, but do not roll. We simply off-tank all 3 amalgamations towards mid, whilst tanking all the corrupted bloods by the plate. We mark one amalgamation as the priority DPS target, and another as our secondary DPS target. By off-tanking 3 amalgamations, we ensure we have an amalgamation already at low health for the second Tendon burn phase, which allows us to pop the plate a little sooner. In general, doing things sooner in this fight is good, as the longer you remain in combat, the more bloods you will have to deal with at the end of the fight. One of your healers should be assigned to handle all dispels of blood corruption death. It's a thankless task, as getting it wrong instantly wipes the raid. Puja, a resto shaman, handled our dispels for this encounter, and having just the one person assigned avoids accidental double dispels. DPS needs to be exceedingly disciplined in this fight. We have 2 melee DPS on the amalgamation full time. They trim the amalgamation to about 250,000 HP as fast as possible, and then we have the blood tank taunt it into the plate to pick up 9 stacks of absorbed blood. As soon as the amalgamation has 9 stacks, it is killed immediately, the aim being to only let the raid suffer 1 AoE pulse before it dies. Once a plate pops, it is essential that all DPS target the Tendon and get maximum damage on it while it is exposed. Use a macro for swift acquisition of the Tendon and to pop cooldowns. On the first Tendon burn of the first plate, we use personal cooldowns. On the first Tendon burn of the second plate, we use a DPS pot. On the first Tendon burn of the third plate, we use Heroism. Valor Point trinkets with their shorter, 90-second cooldown are superb for this encounter, and we use them on all Tendon burns except the second. The first amalgamation you DPS reaches 250,000 before 9 bloods have spawned, so you are limited by the blood spawns as to how quickly you can get into the first Tendon burn phase. However, the next phase already has a low health amalgamation, which has been off-tanked since the start of the fight, and plenty of bloods have spawned, so we choose to taunt it in to gain stacks before the trinkets are off cooldown. This reduces the length of the fight and the number of bloods you deal with later on. On each Tendon burn phase, use the cast time of Nuclear Blast to kill the corruption. This avoids losing DPS to a grip midway through your Tendon burn. Once the Tendon is dead and an armor plate flies off, 2 new corruptions spawn and your DPS priorities shift. Melee DPS kill the front left corruption, range DPS kill the rear corruption. The raid then rapidly gathers near the mid left pit to roll. If you time it well, the new amalgamations spawn, run towards the raid group, pick up some blood stacks and then fly off. Try to spend as little time taking damage in the pit as possible. After each roll, we gather in mid and use healing cooldowns to help remove as much searing plasma as possible. Resto Shamans are hugely powerful in this fight. A Spirit Link totem allows you to heal debuffed targets, but the health transferred via Spirit Link also counts towards the healing absorption amount. Ideally, those with the searing plasma debuff will be on low health, which maximises the Spirit Link throughput. and therefore uses up a huge amount of the searing plasma debuff. Healers focus on healing non-debuff targets whilst the Spirit Link totem is up to further assist this process. At this point the number of bloods is picking up, so whichever DPS is assigned to control their numbers has to be vigilant, as each blood kill does a small AoE damage to the raid. However, killing too many at once can kill those with the searing plasma debuff who are unable to receive healing. Dotting each ad to reduce its health, combined with well-timed AoE when the raid health can handle it, will generally keep blood numbers down to reasonable levels until the final phase. We have one person DPSing bloods full time. The ability to dot ads and use fade regularly makes a Shadow Priest very powerful here. To deal with Grip, we assign 2 ranged DPS to pre-cast on the corruption as Grip is cast, to minimise its uptime. At all other times they DPS the amalgamation. Okay, mad corruption burn. Grip. Grip. That is ready.
I got good shots anyway. It's lagging, pues. GG boy!
Okay, trial on corruptions. When rolling, the raid needs to move as a group. If just one person stays up in mid instead of heading towards the pit, then it delays the roll, forcing the entire raid to take damage whilst waiting for the delayed roll to start.
2, come on, 3, start rolling you swine.
After the second roll, we used a Divine Hymn while Spirit Link was up. This cleared all of our searing plasma debuffs, which greatly helped the healers in the final phase. At this point it is worth noting how many targets are appearing on the screen. Using a good nameplate add-on, which stacks the nameplates when mobs are grouped up, really is a significant advantage. Even then, it is still worth using a focus or target macro for the amalgamation in the final 2 burn phases, as clicking on the right nameplate might be somewhat challenging.
Burn the amalgamation, come on. Grip. Okay, I'm moving to the other side. That is ready. Switch it in when you want.
Mana hammer can't feel.
Already done it. Let it get to 9, let it get to 9. Grip.
Just grab some from the other side.
Some on the right hand side.
Get over to the other side.
Okay, we have
Get
to kill the right.
We're heroing.
Already have.
We have it. See, I'm bringing all these little plates that need some smashing. As well.
At this point in the fight, you'll reach a stage where the Bloods are spawning too quickly for you to control their numbers without killing the raid with their AoE.
Grip
So once
coming in.
Blood numbers get too high, the Blood tank starts to kite them up and down the spine. The Bloods are not slowable, but they can be stunned by many abilities including Holy
Yeah, I'm
Wrath.
kiting.
Once the adds are being kited, it is important that your raid remains disciplined and stays on task. The amalgamation still needs to be trimmed to 250,000 HP, and grip still needs to be handled. This phase is where macros for target switching really help.
Stun, please. Grips coming in.
That is ready.
Stun. Kill it.
We hope this guide helps you overcome the
Spirit link.
Heroic Spine encounter. We found it a real challenge, harder than War Master, and requiring much better planning and raid coordination. If you found this video helpful, please remember to like the video on YouTube, subscribe to our channel for further Deadmen raiding content, or join the Deadmen Walking gaming community forums at deadmen.co.uk.
Yes!
Oh Jesus, that was
Jesus Christ, that's skin.
That was well done.